Hello everyone and welcome to Innovative Science Tutorials. Students, today we are going to learn about the structure of cell and we will do it with the help of two generalized cells, one that of a plant cell and the other that of an animal cell. So let us first understand the meaning of generalized cell. Children, a generalized cell is a basic representation. What is it? It's a basic representation of a cell showing all the parts that can be present in a specialized cell. Means it has got all the parts that can be present in any cell. So in other words, what we can say, a generalized cell is a typical cell or a basic representation of all types of cells containing all the components or parts that can be present in a cell. So this is all about a generalized cell. Now before going into the details of structure, let us first understand that what type of components or how many components can be present in any cell. Children, we all know that there are various kinds of cells. They show spatial differences, yet they all are similar to each other. Why so? Because they have some similarities in their basic structural plan. So how is it possible that they are similar? How can we say that yes, in spite of so many differences, the cells are similar to each other? We can say this because whatever the cell we take into consideration, may it be a plant cell or animal cell, all of these cells have three basic components. What are these three basic components or three common components? Wait, let me write it for you. Three basic components that is common to all the cells, and that's the reason they are similar to each other in spite of so many differences. The first part or the first component is the cell membrane. Cell membrane is the outer membrane in case of the animal cell, but it is the second membrane in case of a plant cell. We will study in detail in the later part of the chapter. So cell membrane, children, this is also known as the plasma membrane. What it is known as? It is also known as the plasma membrane or plasma lemma. Or what is the biological term? The biological term is plasma lemma. So you need to remember all these terms, children. So first part, cell membrane. Second is what, beta? Second is the brain of the cell or the controlling center of the cell, which is known as nucleus. Why is it called so? Because it controls all other parts of the cell, as it contains the hereditary material called DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acid. And if we see the third one, then the third component or third part is the cytoplasm, in which all other parts of the cells are found embedded. I hope till here this is clear. So three common structures or three common components that are present in all cells, irrespective of the fact whether a cell is an animal cell or it's a plant cell. So these three parts will be found in every cell. Now before going again into the detail, one more thing I would like to add over here. Suppose this is a cell, any cell, okay? Suppose this is a cell. So any cell is actually what you know, beta, it is a mass of a living substance that is called protoplast. What it is called? Protoplast or protoplasm. Now this protoplasm, which forms the entire cell and is surrounded by the plasma membrane, is actually divided into two components, two compartments. What are these two compartments? The first compartment is known as the cytoplasm that we have mentioned here. I have made it a little bigger. It is not so big. This is called the nucleus. Okay. So this is what, children? This is the nucleus. So basically we can divide any cell into two components. One is nucleus and the other is what? The other is cytoplasm. Now let us understand everything in details, children. Like first of all, what you can see on your screen, you can see that I have shared two generalized cell diagrams. One is that of an animal cell and the other is that of a plant cell. Now before starting with the each and every structure, it is better to first have the dissimilarities between the two types of cells, that is plant cell and animal cell. So in case of plant cell, children, as I told you before also, the outermost membrane or the outermost covering is the cell wall, whereas in case of an animal cell, the outermost membrane is the cell membrane, also known as plasma lemma or plasma membrane. Apart from this, you can notice that in animal cell there are very small vacuoles which are temporary in nature. Maybe they are completely absent, but in case of a plant cell, the vacuole is usually very large one and it actually occupies a major part of the cell. You can see in this diagram, children, it is a very big, a very large vacuole actually, and what it is doing, it is pushing the nucleus in turn towards the periphery on one side. You can see the nucleus, it is centrally located in case of animal cell, but in case of plant cell, it is located towards the periphery. This is just because a major portion of the plant cell is occupied by a central vacuole which contains the cell sap. What is present inside the vacuole? Cell sap is present. Now next, what you can see, children? Next, you can see that there is a prominent centrosome present in an animal cell, but there is no such centrosome present in a plant cell. So these were some differences, very, very important differences. Apart from this, we have one more, that is the presence or absence of plastid. You can see, children, in case of plant cell, basically there are three types of plastids that I will teach you in detail later on. Okay, so three types of plastids are there, that is chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast, which are absent in plants, animal cell. Animal cell, they do not have any plastid. So this was another point of difference. With this, we complete the differences, a general idea about the differences between the animal cell and plant cell. Now what we will do, children, now we will try to understand each and every part of a cell in detail. Okay, let us understand with the cell wall, because this is the outermost membrane for a plant cell. Okay, so cell wall we are going to study first. Cell wall, children, as we all know that it is present only in the plant cell and it surrounds what? It surrounds the cell membrane. It surrounds the cell membrane. I am writing in short in order to save time, children. It surrounds the cell membrane. If I ask you what is it made up of, then it is made up of what, children? It is made up of higher form of carbohydrate, that is called cellulose. Now since the cellulose is freely permeable in nature, so what it does, it makes the cell wall in turn freely permeable in nature. When I say freely permeable, I mean that it will allow the movement of all the molecules irrespective of the molecule being large or small. So it is freely permeable in nature. Now children, since cell wall is made up of cellulose, which is non-living, cellulose is non-living. Okay, so in turn the cell wall is also a non-living structure. Let me just write it for you, children. It is non-living and in turn it is making the cell wall also non-living in nature. One more fact about this cellulose, children, that cellulose is an insoluble carbohydrate. It is insoluble in water. Okay. Now let us talk about the function of cell wall. What can be the function of cell wall, children? First function is what? Protection. Cell wall protects the cell contents. Okay, so this is the first function and the same applies to the cell membrane as well. So first it protects the cell. Next is what, children? Next, it provides shape to the cell. It provides shape to the cell, and last but not the least, it also provides rigidity to the cell to some degree. Students, next is plasma lemma or plasma membrane. Okay, now As you have seen in case of a plant cell, children, the outermost layer or the membrane is what? In case of a plant cell, the outermost membrane is the cell wall. So in a plant cell, the plasma lemma lies next to the cell wall, isn't it? That means it is the second membrane of a plant cell. What about the animal cell, children? In animal cell, it forms the outermost membrane. In animal cell, I am writing in short, it forms the outermost membrane. I hope till here it is clear. Next is what, children? Next, if we talk about the structure of plasma membrane, then plasma membrane is actually porous in nature. It has got fine pores through which substances may enter or leave the cell. Now, as I said, you can see in both the diagrams that here in case of animal cell, this is the outermost membrane, that is the plasma lemma or plasma membrane, and in case of plant cell, it is the second membrane, okay, that lies next to the cell wall. Now, if we talk more about the details of plasma membrane, then plasma membrane has got fine pores, okay, and these pores allow the entry and exit of material in and out of the cell, and in turn make the plasma membrane selectively permeable in nature. I hope now you all have understood. So this is about the plasma membrane. What else, children? It is thin. The plasma membrane is thin, flexible and living structure, isn't it? It is thin, flexible and living structure. But what about the cell wall? It is non-living. It is non-living. I already taught you before. So plasma membrane is living in nature and it is thin or very thin. We can write that flexible. So these are some properties or features of plasma membrane, and due to the presence of fine pores, इट्स नेचर इज सेमी परमिएबल. ठीक है, बहुत सारे फाइन पोर्स होते हैं जिसके कारण जो प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन होता है वो कैसा होता है? वो होता है सेमी परमिएबल या फिर सेलेक्टिवली परमिएबल. Now, if I ask you that what is the plasma membrane made up of, children, then the plasma membrane or plasma lemma is made up of lipoproteins. Lipoprotein means lipids and proteins. Let me just write it for you. Lipoproteins. Now let us understand the meaning of lipoproteins over here. So I am drawing one diagram, children, to show you exactly how the plasma membrane looks like. So plasma membrane, a small portion I am drawing, is actually composed of two layers of lipids. So this is the outer layer I am drawing, and in between there will be proteins. ठीक है, just I am doing like this, you will understand. So that is the middle protein layer, and again one more layer of lipids are there inside towards the interior of the cell. ठीक है, तो मतलब जो बाहर वाला है, this one, this is facing the exterior or surrounding of the cell. This one, this is the middle layer, this is the protein layer. It has different types of proteins such as carrier protein, which helps in transportation of molecules in and out of the cell. And this is what? This is again inner lipid layer. Okay, this is inner lipid layer, this is outer lipid layer, writing in short, lipid layer which faces the surrounding, and this is the inner lipid layer which faces the, suppose this is the inside of the cell, then this faces the inside of the cell. So this is what is the structure of a plasma membrane, and this structure is actually known as the sandwich model of plasma membrane, because it appears to be as if the protein layer that lies in between the two layers of lipids is a stuffing in a sandwich, and these two layers form the two portions, upper and lower portion of the sandwich. I hope this is clear. Next is, children, functions of plasma membrane. So as I told you, plasma membrane is living, it is porous in nature, so its function also depend upon its structure and nature. The very first function, if we talk about children, let me just write it. The very first function is the plasma membrane acts as a boundary wall. It acts as a boundary wall. Now what is the meaning here? Let me just write it, I will explain you. Next is what, beta? Next, it regulates entry of substances into the cell. So I'm just writing in short, entry of substances. These substances can be solutes or ions or any other molecules. Okay? Last one, that is, it maintains the shape of the cell, like in a similar way like the cell wall does it for the plant cell. So maintain the shape of the cell. Now let us see the details one by one. Suppose this is an animal cell, let us say, and this is what? This is the plasma membrane. Okay. Now you can see the plasma membrane is actually behaving like a boundary wall. Why so? Because if this is the surrounding, let us say this is the surrounding of this cell, okay, surrounding of this cell, and this is the interior of the cell. Now just see the location of plasma membrane. It is exactly in between the surrounding and the interior of the cell. So in turn, it is separating the contents of the cell from the surrounding. In other words, it is separating the contents of the surrounding from the interior of the cell. So this way it behaves as a boundary wall. Next is what, children? Next is it regulates the entry of substances into the cell. Why so? Because it is selectively permeable in nature. So it is very clear that it won't allow all the molecules, ions or any other substance to enter the cell. It will only allow a selective set of molecules or ions or any other particle. Okay? Third one, just like the cell wall of a plant cell, which is the outermost membrane in case of plant cell, in an animal cell especially, not only in plant cell but in animal cell especially, the cell membrane is responsible for the shape of the cell. That means whatever shape the cell membrane has got, the same shape has the same shape is maintained by the cell. Okay? इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि प्लांट सेल में सेल मेम्ब्रेन का कोई भी रोल नहीं है शेप में. प्लांट सेल में इट इज द कंबाइंड इफेक्ट ऑफ सेल वॉल एंड सेल मेम्ब्रेन. बट इन केस ऑफ एनिमल सेल, जो कि मैंने यहाँ पे शो किया है एज अ रफ डायग्राम, यहाँ पे सिर्फ सेल मेम्ब्रेन का रोल है क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो कोई सेल वॉल है ही नहीं. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. सो लेट अस प्रोसीड टू द नेक्स्ट वन, दैट इज साइटोप्लाज्म. स्टूडेंट्स, cytoplasm is a clear jelly-like or watery portion of the cell. Okay, watery portion of the cell. What more? It occupies major part or major portion of the cell. We all know if we divide the protoplasm, entire cell, okay, then the larger portion is what? The larger portion is your cytoplasm and the smaller compartment is the nucleus. So see how large is the cytoplasm in any cell, whether it is a plant cell or animal cell. What more, children? If we look onto the cytoplasm under a compound microscope, then it will appear as colorless. Okay, first it will appear as colorless, then it will be partly transparent, that means it will be translucent. दिखेगा आर पार but पूरी तरह आर पार नहीं दिखेगा. And watery I already told. So if we look onto onto the cytoplasm of any cell under the compound microscope, it will appear to be colorless, translucent and watery in appearance. Next word, children, all the chemical reactions that occurs inside a cell are actually take place where? They actually take place inside the cytoplasm only. कोई भी बायोकेमिकल रिएक्शन हो वो कहाँ पे होता है? साइटोप्लाज्म में होता है. या अदर वर्ड्स में अगर बोले, सिंपल वर्ड में, कोई भी लाइफ प्रोसेस भी हो, चाहे वो रेस्पिरेशन हो रहा है, ब्रीदिंग हो रहा है, एक्सक्रीशन हो रहा है, कुछ भी हो रहा है, वो एक्चुअली हो कहाँ पे रहा है? साइटोप्लाज्म हम लोग बोल सकते हैं. क्यों बोल सकते हैं? बिकॉज ऑल द सेल ऑर्गेनील्स they are present where? All the cell organelles are located in the cytoplasm only. They remain embedded in the cytoplasm. So all the cell organelles are contained in the cytoplasm. That is the meaning over here. So these are some features of the cytoplasm. Next are the functions of cytoplasm. Now again, the functions of cytoplasm depends on the structure of cytoplasm. The first function is it contains all the cell organelles, means it provides a surface where all the cell organelles can be embedded. So in simple words, it contains the cell organelles. Okay, so this is the first function. Next is, children, it is the seat for the first step of cellular respiration. And what is the name of the first step of cellular respiration? It is ग्लाइकोलाइसिस. तो सेलुलर रेस्पिरेशन का दो स्टेप होता है. पहला होता है ग्लाइकोलाइसिस, जो कहाँ पे होगा? इट विल टेक प्लेस इन द साइटोप्लाज्म. सो द साइटोप्लाज्म एक्ट एज अ सीट फॉर द प्रोसेस ऑफ ग्लाइकोलाइसिस, विच इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप इन सेलुलर रेस्पिरेशन. सो थर्ड फंक्शन इज व्हाट, चिल्ड्रन? थर्ड, it is the place, the cytoplasm is that part of the cell where all the metabolic activities are carried out. So again, it provides a surface where all metabolic activities of a cell are carried out. Where all metabolic activities of a cell are carried out. I hope you all understood, children. In case of any doubt, you all will ask me in the comment box. Okay? So these are the three main functions of the cytoplasm. I hope there is no doubt, but still, if there is any doubt, you all will ask me in the comment box. So students, with this we come to the end of this session. See you all very soon with the last part of this chapter, in which we will complete all the cell organelles. So till then, stay tuned, and in case of any doubt, please comment in the comment box. Thank you.